to another episode of Capital City News. On this week's episode, we hear from Salt Lake City Fire Marshal Chief Paulsen about fireworks safety tips for you, your family, and your pets. And our History Minute is about President Theodore Roosevelt and a time when he addressed the school kids of Salt Lake City in this very location on the third floor of the Salt Lake City and County building. Let's get started with our legislative update and look back. At its July 10th meeting, the City Council held a public hearing on the proposed $87 million general obligation bond for street reconstruction. The City Council also adopted a joint resolution with Mayor Biskupski, calling on the federal government to stop long-term detention and further separation of detained immigrant families. Salt Lake City's Planning Division hosted its first walking tour as part of their summer planning series to help residents learn how the city guides new development. Participants toured the Central 9th neighborhood near the 900 South track station, where they learned about how the city implements form-based code, a type of zoning that allows for more mixed-use housing and business space. The next walking tours will be held on July 30th, August 27th, and September 24th. To register, visit slc.gov/planning. The Salt Lake City Bike Share program just opened its 34th GREENbike Station, located at Art Space Bridge Project, an affordable housing, retail, and business space at 230 South 500 West. The new station will help create more accessible, affordable, and sustainable modes of transportation, while supporting first and last mile transit connections through Ride UTA rail and bus stops in the city, not to mention help clear the air. Calling all Salt Lake City youth ages 7 to 17 to learn to play golf. For the first time ever, Salt Lake City Police Department is partnering with Glendale Golf Course and the First Tee of Utah to offer a 10-week program where youth can learn the fundamentals of golf while learning life skills. Salt Lake City police officers will pair up with youth to serve as mentors and work to build trust and community rapport. The program is $99 and includes instruction and equipment. No one will be turned away. Scholarships are available. The program runs Tuesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. now through September 18th at Glendale Golf Course. To register, visit thefirstteeutah.org/Glendale. The Downtown Alliance, Mayor Biskupski, Salt Lake County officials, and leaders from local arts organizations gathered to officially unveil the branding of the Cultural Core Initiative, an 8-year community-based process to showcase the rich, vibrant arts and cultural scene in Salt Lake City. The blocks representing the city's unique downtown neighborhoods will officially be known as Utah's premier art, cultural, and entertainment district for visitors and residents alike. Get fit, get active. Free weekday workout classes offered every Monday through Thursday now through mid-August from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Gallivan Center. Don't miss the free yoga classes on Mondays and Wednesdays and boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For details, visit thegallivancenter.com. During the hot and dry summer months in Salt Lake City, fires can be a real threat, and so can the dangers of lighting fireworks. Salt Lake City Fire Marshal Chief Paulsen talks to us about the restrictions and how to celebrate safely with family and friends.
Every year we cringe because we know that some of the major fires that we have in the valley, in the state, are caused by fireworks. Yeah, well, our main goal always is to you know, have people go ahead and enjoy their summer and have a good time. But safety is our biggest concern here in the Fire Prevention Bureau. We try to prevent fires from happening rather than suffer the consequences of loss that people have during the fire. So we always try to stress that safety. That's why we're so into trying to educate people about having a good time, but do it safely, do it you know, within the laws, and really use common sense. Common sense is something that when you're having a good, enjoyable time, it sometimes goes out the window. So those are the kind of things we really try to get people to think about when they're going out and having fireworks, celebrating this great country and stuff, but to think before they do it. So what we try to do is any hills, anywhere that goes up into the brush that can where there's a lot of vegetation, we try to limit. This year we have increased those. We've come all the way down to 9th East on our east side. Everything north of South Temple has been restricted, and everything west of Redwood Road is restricted because there's a lot of grass and brush out on the west side also. Places where it's really hard to get in, where we can have a lot of property damage, a lot of problems with having large fires. And so we've kind of restricted those. We want people to be able to enjoy it, and we want people to light them off, but we're really worried about our interfacing areas and people's property and their life. Yeah, personally I would prefer to have people go to the big shows that are put on professionally as opposed to their own. I guess just being a fireman all my life, my kids think I'm kind of bad, but I see the dangers in doing them myself. Most of the time people know they're legal, but they don't look at how big of an area. Some of our roads are so small. We have a lot of trees down those roads, and so they might set them off in areas that aren't really big enough, open enough to set them off, and that can cause problems. They also don't secure them well enough. Like these cakes that they sell, it's best to put a brick on each side or a cinder block, keep them from tipping over. I've seen where they've tipped over after the first charge, and usually they set off multiple charges, like up to 9, and I've seen them tip over and shoot the other 8 into the crowd. I've seen situations where if they just take a little bit of precaution, make sure they have a big area, make sure they talk to their neighbors and set the time up so they're not causing problems with other neighbors, with their animals. Let them know that you're going to be setting them off so they can take their pets and keep them inside. Maybe take your pet to someone else's house or somewhere where it's really hard on their hearing, on their senses. They have better senses than we do, and they really suffer sometimes during this, and we don't even think about the pets and the animals. So for more information on fireworks and where the restrictions are, we have maps and we have the restrictions down. It's our website, SLCfire.com, and there's also a link to the state that will give you the state regulations.
And now it's time for a History Minute.
May 29th, 1903 saw President Theodore Roosevelt visiting Salt Lake City for the day. He arrived by train and made his way down Main Street and State Street until he arrived at the City and County Building. There, the school children of the city, numbering more than 12,000, were assembled for a chance to hear the president speak and watch a parade in his honor. Businesses were closed across the city so that everyone had the same chance. The president's speech to the children was brief. All he said was, "My dear children, I've got but one word to say to you. I'm glad to see you. I believe in work. Play hard when you play. When you work, don't play at all. This is good advice for the old as well as the young. I'm glad to see you. Goodbye. Good luck." The parade began, and 600 Rough Riders were set to ride horses wildly down the parade route, shooting pistols and doing tricks. But the president thought that might be too dangerous for the children and didn't want anyone hurt, so they refrained. The president then met with officials and gave a speech at the Tabernacle, the longest speech of his trip to the West. In that speech, he spoke of the need for stewardship of the environment and sustainable business practices to prevent the wasting of our natural resources.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Capital City News. This Pioneer Day, remember to celebrate safely with family and friends. We've got some helpful safety tips and restriction information on SLCfire.com. Join us next time to stay up to date on all the latest. For SLC TV, I'm Poonam Kumar signing off from the beautiful fountain at the Salt Lake City and County Building.